Hello and welcome to NexTech. I'm Ali Canayanlar. I'm here at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, waiting for history to be made for Türkiye's burgeoning space program. Join me as I explore this decades-long journey that will make Türkiye a major player in the global satellite game.
It's a project 10 years in the making. The Türksat 6A satellite is the crown jewel of Türkiye's ambitions to become a major player in satellite communications. It's the latest generation in a long-running series of satellites. But what sets this apart from its predecessors is the makeup of its homegrown components. It's a significant milestone in the nation's journey towards self-reliance in space technology. More than 80% of Türksat 6A was made in Türkiye, represents a fusion of innovation, engineering excellence, and national pride. Last year, we had the incredible opportunity to tour the Satellite Assembly Center in Ankara, where the finishing touches were being made in this state-of-the-art facility. It was buzzing with activity as engineers and technicians assembled Türkiye's latest satellite. Fast forward 12 months and we're back in Ankara, witnessing the final preparations as the satellite gets ready for the harsh conditions of outer space. But first, it needs to get to the launch site in Florida, nearly 10,000 kilometers away. Packing a satellite isn't as simple as placing it in a box and sending it off. It involves multi-step procedures to ensure this very expensive hardware remains safe and intact during transit. Here in the clean room, technicians are doing their final checks. Everything is being done to make sure it arrives at the launch site just as it is now. One small mistake could mean a setback of many years.
This is how you move a 4-ton satellite around the world. After making a brief stop in Germany, the Türksat 6A will head to its U.S. launch site in Cape Canaveral in Florida. From there, it'll be loaded onto a SpaceX rocket, which will take it up into orbit.
The first leg of the journey to Florida is with one of the world's largest transport planes, the reliable workhorse of global transport, the Antonov 125. Taking off from Ankara, it will make a short pit stop in Leipzig, Germany, before finally making its way to Cape Canaveral, Florida. It's launch day, and despite some cloud cover rolling in, SpaceX officials are confident they'll be able to find an ideal opportunity within the scheduled 4-hour launch window. Nearly 40 members of the Türksat team have made the long journey to Florida. SpaceX has briefed the individuals of the latest developments and the day's key events. Among the group is Türkiye's Minister for Transport and Infrastructure, Abdülkadir Uraloğlu. I got a chance to sit and talk with him before he headed out to the launch site at Kennedy Space Center.
Mr. Minister, if I could begin by asking you what the primary objectives of Türksat 6A would be.
Türksat 6A uydusunun öncelikle
Let me begin by saying that Türksat 6A proves how far Türkiye has come. With Türksat 6A, Türkiye has become one of the 10 satellite manufacturers. Türksat 6A has been built using completely domestic and national resources, including Turkish engineers. That's why it is so valuable. The most important achievement of Türksat 6A is that it made us see that we can make a satellite ourselves. Okay, we made this, but what purpose does it serve? Firstly, we now have our footprints in space. It will help us have a voice on matters related to space. Right now, we have 5 communication satellites, which provide us with both civil and military communication. We need to keep this service going and make it better. Apart from those 5, we have 3 unusable satellites that had a 15 or 16-year lifespan. We manufactured our new satellite with new technologies. With our 5 satellites, we cover 3.5 billion people worldwide, including Türkiye, parts of Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia, North Africa, and parts of India. Now we are going to make it 5 billion people with India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. This will give us a larger market. Türkiye is one of the manufacturers and exporters of UAVs and UCAVs. Flying these UAVs and UCAVs has been made possible with these satellites. So we will be providing satellite service with the Türksat 6A when we export those drones. Türksat 6A give us the opportunity to provide this service for the next 15 years. Our first aim is to service ourselves with domestic and national resources. This will make us feel secure.
Milyar insanı kapsıyoruz.
You mentioned that the satellite would be addressing some of the country's needs. Could you elaborate on that?
Halihazırdaki haberleşmesi.
With Türksat 6A, we will provide civil and military communication and television broadcasting. Thanks to Turkish TV series, in many countries that I visited, a lot of people speak Turkish. Türksat 6A will enable more people to speak Turkish by making Turkish TV series available to a greater number of people. Just like we have a blue homeland, we now have a space homeland. We will protect these. The International Telecommunication Union is the authority which decides who sends which satellite to which place in space. There is a regulation. With Türksat 6A, we will keep protecting our rights in space according to those regulations.
You mentioned that Turkey is now one of a handful of countries that can actually produce a satellite like this. How does this fit into the country's vision?
Tabii baktık mı 6 tane haberleşme uydusu.
Having 6 satellites among the manufacturing countries is a good thing, but it is not enough. For example, in order to operate flights, at least 20 satellites are needed. We provide navigation for flights in our area, but not worldwide. This is one of our aims for the future. The satellites we mentioned are geosatellites, but we will gradually need to switch to low Earth orbit satellites, like Starlink. In that sense, there is work done by Bayraktar's branch Fergani. We support them and we provide advice. All this is to protect our country's right and make the best gains out of this market. This is possible because of Türksat, Aselsan, TÜBİTAK Space Technologies and Research Institute, and the Secretariat of Defense Industries. We have the facilities and know-how to manufacture satellites. We will keep providing services to our country with these satellites and also bring in foreign currency by exporting these services to other nations.
Bir çalışma var. Biz de onları destekliyoruz ve onlara danışmanlık veriyoruz.
And before I let you go, Mr. Minister, if I can kindly ask you to maybe share some projects that are in the pipeline with regards to the future after Türksat 6A.
Öyle biz bir kere %80'i geçtik.
We are now above 80% in terms of our satellites being domestic and national. The most important thing is its software, which is completely ours. In order to have a say in global aviation, we need 15 more satellites. It is a matter of supply and demand. But you can't calculate everything with money. I mean, when you need something, sometimes you are meant to have it beforehand. Türksat 6A is like that. And more like Türksat 6A will be manufactured.
Bazı şeyleri siz hani parayla tartamazsınız.
Türksat 6A will be taken into orbit on board SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. This is the protective shell shielding the satellite from the extreme conditions during its ascent through the atmosphere. Everything is ready. The Falcon 9 stands tall, ready for its mission.
Go for launch. And there's that final go for launch from our launch director. At T-minus 40 seconds and counting, all systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9. So let's sit back and watch as Falcon takes the Türksat 6A mission to space.
More than 10 years in the making and hundreds of millions of dollars invested. This groundbreaking mission marks a significant milestone for Turkey's space ambitions, which aims to enhance its telecommunications abilities while also boosting national security. Mission Control has given the launch a green light, so it's a systems go, and in just a few moments, Türksat 6A will be heading up to its new home on board of the SpaceX rocket right behind me. Bon voyage, Türksat 6A.
has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 carrying the Türksat 6A satellite.
Despite being 3.5 kilometers away from the launch pad, you feel the rocket's thrust, with the shockwave hitting you within seconds.
Vehicle is supersonic.
At around the 1.5 minute mark, the rocket reaches max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. You'll see the Falcon 9 speed rapidly accelerate. The rocket needs to reach a speed of about 28,000 kilometers an hour horizontally to get into orbit. 2.5 minutes in, the main engines are shut off, allowing for the first separation. Today's mission will be this particular Falcon 9 rocket's 15th successful launch, further proving SpaceX's selling point of reusable rockets. On the left of the screen, the Falcon 9's first stage rocket will fire up its re-entry burn to help it slow down for landing on a floating platform no bigger than a basketball court in the Atlantic Ocean. Just over an hour after launch, Türksat 6A sends its first signal, which was successfully received by the ground team in Ankara. For the team that poured thousands of hours into building Turkey's first satellite, it was an overwhelming success. Türksat CEO Hasan Hüseyin Ertok praised his team and the launch's success.
We're going to operate the 6A satellite at 42 East degrees orbital location, and this is the main location for our TV channels broadcasting. And with the Southeast coverage, we are also trying to bring those TV channels to the Southeast Asia, like India and like Indonesia, Malaysia, so they can also watch Turkish content from those regions. And you know, a lot of people living there, so 1.5 billion we are adding to our coverage area. That's very amazing. And we are trying to reach more people there on the Southeast Asia, so it's going to be challenging for us as well. I mean, satellite connectivity is very important. It's very vital on the military connectivity, because you can connect those devices like UAVs and the other things everywhere around the world when you have the coverage. So with Türksat, we have 5 satellites right now operating, as I said, for the military services as well. And with the 6A, we add extra capacity and additional coverage area. So we can just, operate different military activities like UAVs and everything around the region. So it's going to bring us more capability as a country for the operations around. Well, next goal is, we're going to have 6 satellites in our fleet. The next goal is renewing our satellites. The Türksat 3A is getting older. It's going to have like 2 or more years at most. So we are planning to have another satellite which replaces Türksat 3A and bring additional connectivity with different spectrum bands and also different coverage areas. We are working on it. Still, we are on the requirements phase right now, but in the coming years, probably next year or so, we will define the satellite and we go out and get new satellites. So because we need to bring our satellites, bring in our fleet new satellites to provide service to our government, to our people, to the region, to the countries that we serve. So we have to do that. So that's why we just keep working on it. Well, the thing is, there are twofold. There are 2 main things for the 6A satellite. First thing is, this is domestically built, manufactured satellite. More than 80% of it is built in Turkey, with the 4 different companies getting together and bring it out, manufacturing a new satellite. Manufacturing a satellite like communication satellite, it's a big R&D project. It's a huge project. And if you are able to manufacture this, you are able to manufacture a lot of different things. In technology-wise, we are able to manufacture this as a country. So it's going to be a great step for the next thing, for the development of new technology. That's the most important part of it. And the other part, on the operations side, the service side, of course, you're going to reach different areas of the world. So you're going to expand your coverage areas. You're going to expand the service that you provide to the people. So also the power of Turkey, I can say.
For the moment, it may be a small step for communications, but a giant leap for the country's space ambitions. And to get there, for the next 90 days, it will perform a series of tests and verifications. And before the end of the year, the satellite will use its boosters to position itself in its final celestial position and home for the next 15 years at 42 degrees east. Our journey in Florida comes to an end, and we're heading back to the Turkish capital to see how operations are running. TÜBİTAK is the country's scientific and technological research council. Its space division is tasked with overseeing all of Türksat 6A's operations.
Lots of data here on the screen. Tell me what we're looking at.
Okay, these are just a few examples of our monitoring screens when we use during controlling of our satellite. The one on the right is for the chemical propulsion system. Actually, we have fired apogee engine for 5 times to change our orbit. During that maneuvers and operations, we monitor the pressure levels, also duration of firing, and how propellant changes, how propellant amount changes, and also which engines are active during at that time. We can see from that screen. On the left, we can see the attitude control of our satellite. It actually says us we are very good, almost perfect control right now. It's the direction of the satellite is as we planned, so we have a good control on our attitude control on our satellite. And on the right, we can see where is our satellite now. It's actually on 50° east geostationary orbit right now.
I've never heard of a satellite having an attitude. What exactly is that?
It's actually direction of satellite. Assume just put a line from satellite, and when satellite turns to the right, left, or in position, it's also changed. So we are aiming as a target Earth, antenna aiming target to the Earth. So it should be in some limit, under some margin.
And the person overseeing TÜBİTAK's operations is the agency's director, Mehmet Nefes. He's played an active role in Türkiye's satellite program, having directly worked on the Türksat 6A's predecessors. I sat down with TÜBİTAK's director to talk about this successful launch and what the agency has in store in the years ahead.
Mehmet Bey, you've been involved with 4A, 4B, 5A, 5B. Now we have 6A. This is probably the one that you're most proud of, I would assume.
It's our new baby. I have some of the children, but it is the latest one. It's a special one. First of all, the Türksat 6A is the first national domestic telecommunication satellite built by Turkish institutions and companies as TÜBİTAK Uzay, TÜBİTAK Space. We are the main prime. We have some partners, Turkish Aerospace, TUSAŞ, Aselsan, SeaTech, and also our customer is the Türksat, nation satellite operator. And now is orbit. We just launched within this month. After the commissioning phase and the in-orbit test, Türksat can start to operate, and our nation will utilize that satellite.
The Vice President was actually was following the entire launch night from Ankara, and one of the things that he said was that this is just one step in Türkiye's journey or mission.
Yes.
Talk to me how TÜBİTAK is overseeing all this and the steps ahead.
There are, certain subsystems, very complex subsystems in these satellites. In all of the satellites, even it's a very small CubeSat, even for the large spacecrafts, around 10 subsystems, like a mechanical subsystem, thermal subsystem, flight software, avionics, the communications, antennas, communication modules, the solar panels. But these type of the telecommunication satellites, like around 5 tons, the complexity level is higher than compared to the small satellites. So required necessary human power and also technology is needed. So you need to operate such kind of a satellite. You need to have a very complex flight software and also the ground software. So in this project, we have produced our software, flight software, and we managed all the maneuvers, all the transfer philosophy, all the algorithms by ourselves. This is really important assets for us. And we will benefit for our future projects, like a lunar project. We are also working on it under the Turkish National Space Program. One of the targets is to reach the moon at the end of the 2026. The algorithm, transfer algorithms and the maneuvers is very similar and even complex than the like a Türksat 6A.
I think Turkey is one of 11 countries that can actually manufacture a complex satellite such as Türksat 6A. You also mentioned Turkey's lunar ambitions. What does this mean for TÜBİTAK Space?
Yeah, it is actually, we have lots of meanings, from the design concept to the human resources to the operation point of view. We are building the ecosystem from the design level to the operation level. We build that satellite not but our only resources. We also use the Turkish companies, Turkish ecosystem, the capabilities from the component level to the system level. For our country, Turkey, the economical asset is we can build that satellite by our resources, by our own resources. This is really important for us because we can gain the national independence for that. It's a national power to build the technology. We have now we can say that we have the satellite manufacturing the capacity after the Earth observation satellites. Now for the lunar project, our aim is to build our spacecraft again by our own resources. These, nationality ratio around above the 80% you mentioned. Above the 80%. For example, the main property is the flight software or also ground software, completely domestic, completely national by our TÜBİTAK engineers. Some of more than the 50% of the real hardware is domestic, and also system design, testing capability. We have used the testing facility in Turkey. For the lunar project, the nationality ratio will be higher than the 6A. So it is the next step. And for the later phase of the lunar project, we will continue to build by our satellites, our technology, our process, which is compatible with our mission. The TÜBİTAK Space mission is to meet the space-based needs by the R&D, not with the direct procurement or the commissioning. Our mission, we have a research institute, and we have our aim is, our main target is to build our national resources via research and development.
So what Türksat 6A has shown us is that it is a tipping point. And for that I say congratulations and good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
In just 6 months, Turkey has seen its first astronaut and domestically made satellite launch into space. The years ahead will see the country build on that success, become in the form of more crewed missions, more satellite launches, and eventually a lunar mission later this decade. Everyone I talk to is confident that this is only the beginning of Turkey becoming a major spacefaring nation, capable of producing that technology here at home. Well, that's all the time we have for in this episode of NexTech. I'm Ali Can Ayanlar, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.